What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to the YouTube channel. In today's video, we'll be talking about Clemson and their offensive coordinator spot and how they have really retooled their coaching staff. This is a team that could potentially go on a run in the future. I really truly do believe that because they are retooling with some big names at the offensive coordinator spot, which I'll get into. But they do have some players leaving. They have some players coming in. I really like where they're at right now. They finished the season 11-3. They had that bowl game loss to Tennessee. Joe Milton played some very good football for Tennessee down in that bowl game and really stepped up for them. But, they were kind of getting a little destroyed. And in fairness, that secondary of Clemson kind of all year, if you looked at it, has had some ups and downs. I remember the Wake Forest game with Clemson. That was a really bad game. Sam Hartman was throwing all over the football field on those corners. They were getting beat over the top almost every single time. I wouldn't say this is your normal, typical Clemson defense this year. They were really good. They had some areas that lacked pretty noticeably. Just watching them this year was definitely an interesting team. They weren't a bad team by any stretch. Clemson has made their name as a powerhouse. They won 2 national championships recently. They have a Hall of Fame coach in Dabo Swinney. Clemson is a standard, and they know how to win. And they know how to do everything right. They are a culture-driven program. They do everything right. And the offensive coordinator that they brought in, and a guy that will continue that culture, I feel like, is their offensive coordinator they brought in. They brought in Garrett Riley, obviously the brother of Lincoln Riley at USC, the head coach there. And Garrett Riley is a really good offensive mind, just like Lincoln is. But Garrett Riley has done a lot of good stuff for TCU. And at SMU, he was really good. That offense he built and was coaching at SMU as offensive coordinator was really good under Sonny Dykes at SMU. They're really good, they're sound, and they put up a lot of points and yards. So go out and get a guy like Garrett Riley. Now, Clemson Stick has never been a program recently that has gone out and got big names as coaching staff hire. So this was surprising. Dabo took a stand to certain things. They fired their old OC, which was a move that was needed because a lot of people didn't think Dabo would do it. And that was really big for Clemson this year, to fire him, bring in Garrett Riley, and see what you could build in the recruiting realm, see what he could do with this offense. You see what he could do in less of a year time with TCU. Now TCU was a really good football team. They had good playmakers. They had a good quarterback, which I think Clemson has the tools as well to have that. They have Cade Klubnik at quarterback, a 5-star, who showed some signs at the end of last year. He is a really good quarterback. I feel like he has a bright future at Clemson. The position that you could kind of be worried about and have been worried about because it's kind of taking a step back a little bit is the wide receiver room. Now, they did bring in the wide receiver coach that they had when they had Hopkins and all these great wide receivers come through Clemson. They hired that guy back. He took a job at South Florida, I believe. He's coming back to Clemson. And that is huge. That is huge because they desperately need a guy that can recruit the wide receiver position hard like they used to, because they had a guy, he left, and they really haven't recruited that position the same since he left. Would I say Clemson was a better football team this year than they were last year? Yeah, I think they were. I think they easily were. This is a team that won a conference championship still, and they were a good football team. Now, they weren't a great football team. They weren't a team that deserved to be in the playoff. They weren't dominant Clemson like we've seen signs of in the past and how they have been dominant. This is a Clemson team that was a little bit more just balanced. Clemson was okay offensively this year. Defensively, they were really good. They were above average defensive team. But that offense has to hit next level. I think Dabo saw that this year at the end of this year and said, okay, we got to make a change because we have to keep up. Because if you don't keep up, you're going to be left behind in this. In the NIL era, the transfer portal era, Clemson is a known program. Dabo Swinney, we all know this. He doesn't really play the transfer portal game. He never really has played it. And he doesn't really bring in guys. He's really stationary there. He's really a traditional head football coach at a college level. He really is. He's a guy that's a Hall of Fame coach, but some of his weakness is probably transfer portal, because if Clemson added some transfers to certain positions, you could look at this team completely different, because a lot of players would be interested to join Clemson in transfer portal. I'll say that. With Dabo's philosophy of not grabbing transfer portal recruits, well, then you got to go recruit high school kids. And they've been still good at that. They have a really good class. They got Peter Woods, who Peter Woods is a very good prospect coming out, 5-star defensive lineman, really good football player. You have guys like that are coming into the program, which is great. They have some good talent, but I'll be eager to see the philosophy if it changes for Dabo, because that's what everyone has clowned on. He had the National Signing Day speech where he said NIL has always been a part of Clemson, and he put it some catchphrase, like, I don't even know what the catchphrase was, but I'm pretty sure you guys know the video and the clip. But it's just really interesting to see how Clemson is trying to evolve, because I truly do believe they are. The ACC is interesting next year because Florida State's the favorite. I think for majority of people, Clemson probably second favorite. Maybe North Carolina with Drake May is going to be that third favorite, maybe overtake Clemson. I want to see how Clemson deals with losing some more talent. They lose their best defensive lineman. They lose some secondary guys. I'll be eager to see. I'm excited to see how certain guys have to step up for them, because they're going to be losing a lot after this year. Riley is not maybe a guy that has had pronounced quarterbacks, that has recruited and developed and staying quarterbacks like on a national level, but you look at SMU, they had Tanner Mordecai, who was a really good quarterback. I mean, that dude threw, 46 touchdowns like last year with him as the OC. They had Max Duggan, who he's kind of transformed into a really good quarterback as well at TCU. Now he's going to be going into the draft. And he'll probably get drafted, I don't know which round or whatever, but Max Duggan will be getting drafted. And that's huge. That means that he could develop quarterbacks. So I'll be interested to see Garrett Riley and Cade Klubnik and see how good Cade can develop next year. It's going to be really fun to see. It'll be interesting to see how Cade develops next year. Garrett Riley fits Clemson, their culture, and their philosophy really well. I really do think that, because I think Sonny Dykes is a tad bit similar to Dabo Swinney, except for the transfer portal stuff. But I think Garrett Riley is actually a really good fit at Clemson. I think a retool will help Clemson, and it had to happen on the coaching staff. Dabo saw it, and it happened. And I'm really excited for this team. I'm really excited to see how the offense looks next year. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys next video. Peace.